The war stops, but the noise doesn't. In Gaza, they thank God for peace. In Jerusalem, ministers call it surrender. Bezalel Smotrich vows, no deal for stopping the war. As hostages wait and the world watches, is this peace or just the pause before the next war? The ink barely dry on the Gaza ceasefire agreement, Israel's government fractures from within. Far-right members of Prime Minister Netanyahu's coalition have voiced strong opposition to any deal with Hamas. At the forefront is Finance Minister Smotrich vows, a prominent hardliner who insists that the ceasefire cannot mark an end to Israel's military objectives.
It is a huge responsibility to ensure that this is not, God forbid, a deal of hostages in exchange for stopping the war, as Hamas thinks and brags about. Immediately after the return of the hostages, Israel should continue to strive with all its might for the real eradication of Hamas and the real demilitarization of Gaza, so that it no longer poses a threat to Israel.
Smotrich vows has also rejected any political processes aiming at Palestinian statehood or international oversight of Gaza, two pillars of the U.S. 20-point plan for the region. He argued that prior opposition to negotiations had enabled Israel to apply military pressure that weakened Hamas, a record he continues to emphasize.
It is a huge obligation to ensure that we do not return to the Oslo path, God forbid, and that we do not abandon our security to the hands of foreigners. My opposition to previous deals led to progress in the occupation of Gaza and the application of military pressure that brought Hamas to its knees.
The Security Cabinet is set to meet to review the ceasefire deal, followed by a government vote, with a substantial majority expected in favor. Yet, Smotrich's position highlights the underlying challenge. Any ceasefire must navigate deep political divisions and competing agendas within Israel, even as hostages' safety hangs in the balance. For Palestinians in Gaza, the ceasefire announcement brought a rare sense of relief after 2 years of relentless conflict. In Khan Yunis, crowds gathered near Nasser Hospital on October 9th, clapping and cheering, calling the moment historic. The ceasefire was finalized after indirect talks in Egypt, one day after the second anniversary of Hamas's cross-border attack in 2023 that triggered Israel's military response. Negotiators in Sharm el-Sheikh agreed on the first phase of Trump's 20-point plan, laying the groundwork for a broader ceasefire and eventual reconstruction. President Mahmoud Abbas welcomed the announcement, framing it as a step toward a broader political resolution.
These efforts would be a prelude to reaching a permanent political solution that would lead to the end of Israel's occupation of the Palestinian lands and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state on the 1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as its capital.
Palestinian factions credited the ceasefire to the steadfastness and resistance of the Palestinian people, efforts of mediators, Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey, and the responsibility and flexibility shown by the Palestinian delegations during the negotiations. For ordinary Gazans, the agreement brought hope. Streets filled with waving flags, chants of celebration, and preparations by humanitarian organizations to deliver aid marked the first visible signs of relief.
Thank God. Even if the ceasefire deal came late, but we thank God for everything. Finally, we're going back to our homes. It's true that our homes are destroyed and our situation is not perfect, but despite everything, we are going back and we are staying steadfast in Gaza. Gaza is our home. Nothing is more precious than Gaza. I hope that God will end all this on a peaceful note. This news made us happy, made our children, family, and brothers happy.
The deal promises not only a halt to hostilities, but also a pathway for medical support, infrastructure reconstruction, and the exchange of prisoners. While the ceasefire has sparked hope, analysts stress its fragility. Over the past 24 hours, Israeli strikes killed at least 10 Palestinians and injured 49, with one body recovered from previous attacks, underscoring the ongoing human toll. Since October 2023, more than 67,000 Palestinians have died, with nearly 170,000 wounded. In Israel, 1,139 were killed and around 200 captured during Hamas's October 7th attacks. U.S. President Donald Trump announced the breakthrough on social media, confirming that Israel and Hamas had agreed to the first phase of the ceasefire. Qatar, a key mediator, said the agreement included all the provisions and implementation mechanisms of the plan. Hamas described it as
stipulating an end to the war on Gaza, the occupation's withdrawal, the entry of aid, and a prisoner exchange.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu welcomed the agreement, signaling that he would convene his government to approve it. Analysts, however, caution that the true test will be Israeli compliance. Michael Schaefer-Omerman, director of Israel-Palestine at U.S.-based rights group Dawn, stressed that while the ceasefire should be welcomed, it could have been reached at any point over the past 2 years.
Without being cynical at all, we have to welcome this moment. An end to the killing and starvation and the mental and physical torture of the people in Gaza. But this could have been done at any point over the past 23.5 months. Hamas has been offering all the hostages in exchange for an end to the war, almost since the beginning. And President Biden had the exact same leverage that President Trump has today.
Omerman cautioned that the real challenge lies in ensuring Israel honors the terms. The ceasefire also highlights the wider geopolitical stakes. The 2-year war drew in regional powers, including Iran, Yemen, and Lebanon, while Israel's international isolation deepened. Trump's 20-point plan encompasses ceasefire implementation, prisoner exchanges, Hamas disarmament, and reconstruction of Gaza. Speaking after the agreement, Trump described it as a historic step toward peace.
I am very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. This means that all of the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed-upon line as the first steps toward a strong, durable, and everlasting peace.
As the first phase unfolds, both sides and the international community will watch closely. The coming days will determine whether this ceasefire is a durable truce or a temporary pause in a conflict that has left deep scars on Gaza and Israel. For Palestinians, it offers humanitarian relief and the prospect of reconstruction. For Israelis, the chance to bring home hostages and stabilize security in the region.